So I'm outside Friends Meeting House in London for Britain Yearly Meeting, the annual gathering of friends, and I'm here to show you what it's all about. Now, this is my first time actually ever attending yearly meeting in person. I've attended online before, and so I'm really excited to hear what it's all about. I've just had, if I'm sounding a bit weird, I've had a grueling 7-hour coach journey all the way from Cornwall to London. But anyway, my plan is just to show you what it's all about. I've got friends from all over the country gathering, and some of them I've never actually met in person before, so it's all going to be very exciting. No idea what to expect, really. I know roughly what's happening, but I'll show you as much of it as I can. Let's go. So now, although this is my first time to Friends Meeting House as a Quaker, it's actually not my first time to Friends Meeting House. First off, I'm coming back, I'm just wowed by how big it is and where it is. This is literally opposite Euston Station for anyone who knows London, and it is huge. It is huge. I'm just very impressed, considering I know that some meeting houses are, shared with other buildings and stuff. It's really impressive as a building. But anyway, yes, well, I was a student at UCL, and I had many fond memories coming to friends' house to eat. I used to then have my lectures, come and eat here, food was delicious, and then took Euston Underground to go back home. So I've been here before, but never as a Quaker, so I'm very interested to see how, as a Quaker, it feels different. So I was going to go and try and film inside Friend's house, but to be honest, there's so many Quakers that it actually makes it quite impossible. So I thought I'd come out. So I've just come out of the opening meeting for worship, and it was fantastic. So it was a semi-program meeting, so we had people who were, so there was some singing involved. It was the first time there was some actual singing in a Quaker meeting for worship before, which was interesting. We had friends visiting from Costa Rica, from Zimbabwe, from Kenya, and that was just something I, again, never experienced before. It was so different. The ministry was just coming out all over the place. It brought me to tears. I was very, very excited, very, very impressed with that. And considering it was only like half an hour as well, I managed to fit a lot in. I have also managed to have my first sighting of Paul Parker, the recording clerk. So that was also very exciting. And yeah, we'll see what else goes on today. So we've just finished the second session now, and in this session we've been looking at what a radical peacemaker is and what a Quaker radical peacemaker would be. I wasn't expected to be so moved by the ministry and how emotional it all was. It was like a meeting for worship, I suppose, but I suppose in meeting for worship you never have like a particular, it's very open, but this was a very specific meeting for worship. Maybe if I actually went to business meetings, it might be a bit more like this. It felt, I guess this is probably more like a business meeting, but I was just really impressed by the process and how honest everyone was in terms of their ministry. Really powerful stuff. We're on lunch now. I have seen a few other famous faces. I'm going to see if I can hunt them down maybe, and maybe they might want to talk. We shall see. There's apparently a fair going on. I'll see what I can find. Okay, it's official. I am lost. This place seems very logically laid out, but I've got lost now for the third time and I can't find out. I might never leave. So I've just come out of day one for me. Technically it's I don't know what day it is. They've done a lot more days of Britain Yearly Meeting. And it's been emotional. I've just come out of possibly the best Swarthmore Lecture ever. If you haven't been there, it will be online, and I would recommend you watch that. That is, to be honest, they always do blow my mind, but that really, truly did blow my mind. Wow. And yeah, emotional. I wasn't expecting that. It might be because I'm knackered. I have to remember this. It might be because I'm really, really tired. But actually, it was also really good. So I am now going to go to Elephant and Castle to meet up with a very good friend, Little F, unfortunately not Big F, maybe one day. And I will see you back tomorrow. So I'm here. I'm on day 2 now of Britain Yearly Meeting. Slept better than I have in previous nights, so that's great. And ready to take on a new day. But I suppose I realised yesterday, I don't think I actually talked about what actually happens at Quaker Yearly Meeting. Like, obviously it's a gathering of friends across the UK, but what actually do we do? So that's a very good question. But I think ultimately what the purpose of it is obviously to gather, but then I think it's the idea to come together spiritually, come together corporately, and to plan the future. I think that's roughly what we do. And so there's sessions throughout the day which cover those sort of things. And there's going to be a change so that they're not going to be just once a year anymore. They're going to be moving to 4 times a year, and they're going to be throughout the UK, which means I won't have to traipse all the way to London on a coach forever, which will be great, and means that obviously maybe see other areas of the UK and hopefully get more people involved in yearly meetings. So lots of fun happening today. I've got some people who have rustled some people who are happy to interview. So we'll hear from them as well. Let's go. Day 2. I think as I'm waiting, I'm really early because why not? Soak in the vibes. One thing that struck me, many things struck me from the Swarthmore Lecture last night, but one thing that struck me was that I think actually again, Quakers do themselves a disservice. We often say, and I think I've even said, that Quaker belief is really hard to describe, that it's really hard to actually pin down what we believe, because we all believe different things, and that's true. But I think actually underlying that, it's really quite simple. She broke it down really quite nicely. The Swarthmore Lecturer said that Emily Provence, I think her name was, she said, Quakers believe that everyone can access the divine, but that we are flawed human beings and we can't do it very well because we're egocentric and we make mistakes and all that. And so therefore we need a community in order to help us discern that. And I think everything about Quakerism revolves around that. It's the idea that we have access to the divine, but we're just not very good at it because we up ourselves too much. And I felt that was just so simple. And that's not hard to describe at all. Obviously, how we interpret that and what that means and what we call these things, those are things which obviously Quakers do disagree with quite strongly. But I think everyone believes that. And I think that's really beautiful. And I think that's a really good thing to remember, that actually Quaker faith and theology is at the very core very simple, which of course excellent for Quakers who love simplicity. So we've just come to lunchtime on the second day. It started bright and early with a meeting for worship, where people were still blown away from the Swarthmore Lecture the night before. Lots of ministry about community and what it means. We then had another meeting for worship where everyone was involved, including the young people and the really, really young people. And that was really, really nice, actually. I really like that. It's not something you get to experience, especially not a meeting of that size. That's very rare. That's by far the biggest meeting I've ever done. So that was really interesting. I've also managed to rustle up a good couple of new interviews coming up. So working tirelessly for the promotion and betterment of Quakerdom, you'll be glad to know. So I am joined by my first guest, and that is Kit, who's here with me to discuss yearly meeting and just general stuff, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So would you maybe want to start off with what does yearly meeting mean for you? Why do you come? Why do you come back?
I mean, the best thing about yearly meeting is seeing everybody that you only see once a year. And I think an example of that is I came on Friday night at 4 o'clock. There was a session at 7. It took me all 3 hours to get through the door because there's so many people. And genuinely, but it's one of those lovely things where you're going, hello, friend. Yeah. But I think also the main attraction of coming for yearly meeting is that it's, the biggest group of friends that can come together and discern on what God wants for us today. And that's really important. That's something that's core to my beliefs, is that God is speaking to us today and that there is continuing revelation and we need to listen to that. And channeling that spirit with, hundreds of friends is something really special.
What's been your best bit? What have you liked the most?
So a couple of best bits. We've just had a session on trustees, and I am a trustee.
Makes sense.
And we had a lot of really good questions from friends and encouraging them to support the work. So that was very positive.
Yeah.
And then also the highlight of everyone's yearly meeting experience is the Swarthmore Lecture, which we had yesterday with Emily Provence, who's an American friend, and she talked to us about finding the sense of the meeting in non-Quaker context. For example, just being on the bus. And so she had a lot of weird stories about.
And the thing is, like, I was on the bus. Not on the bus. I was on the tube this morning, and I was like, "Oh, what an incidental community I'm in."
Yeah.
And it's a strange way of thinking about life. But then, but it's true. We're suddenly in these communities that we don't expect to be in, and then actually, how are we being a community in that? Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Kip. We'll get back on. We've got to discuss.
Yep.
What is it? What are we doing next?
Conflict in our communities. So we're thinking about what can we do as Quakers with our neighbourhoods and people around us and bring us all together.
Let's go. So my second guest is Matt Rosen. Thank you very much for coming on.
Sure.
We are going to be talking about just general how you found yearly meeting, what you're thinking of it. How's it been? Is this your first one?
It's not.
Oh, yeah?
I've been to a few.
Oh.
And it's been wonderful to see so many different friends from many different places and feel ourselves gathered together. I've really loved the times of worship together. I think there's sometimes a temptation to push worship to the edges, but I'm glad we've had time to worship together and feel the ground of unity before we have to make decisions.
Well, because I think it's really strange because the biggest meeting that I've ever worshipped in is like maybe 30 people, and we were hundreds in there, and obviously they're not including people online as well. What do you think? Do you think a benefit of that? Do you think it's how do you understand the difference?
Early friends thought of their form of worship as a testimony, and I think seeing so many people together, gathered under God's guidance and leadership, and not any of our guidance and leadership, the fact that works, it really testifies. It testifies about who's in charge of our community, that we're allowing ourselves to be led by the Holy Spirit, and it's nice to see that can work with so many.
Yeah, we're going to speak later. We're going to do a full-on interview later on because you've done really cool things with the Living Adventurously grant as well.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. That's been really cool, and we will see you on a future episode. Stay tuned. Yeah. So one of the great things, obviously, about yearly meeting is meeting friends who you've only met online. So I'm joined by Emma, and so we're going to be. So I just wanted to ask Emma, as I've been kind of asking a few people, is what does yearly meeting mean for you? Why do you keep coming back? What do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously the saying is that it's good to see each other's faces, and that's especially true now, isn't it? Because we're all online, like ourselves. We've only just met on a Zoom call or whatever. So there is something special about being able to hug each other and kind of find out how tall everyone is or short how everyone, So there is something special about that, and I think that's a really important thing. And I suppose you get a sense of where the meeting is going, what the sense of where we are as a society.
Very true, yeah.
You perhaps hear from a broader range of people. So I keep coming back because each year I think, well, should we come for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days? And each year we just keep coming back for more and more of it, really. It's expensive, but as much as you can afford it, it's a great thing to do. Actually, physical spaces, coming together physically, geographically, still is important. Even if you don't do it every week, it's actually still important.
Yeah.
And just once a year is not enough on its own.
But it's changing.
Well, I think that's great. I love continuing yearly meeting. I think that's going to be a really transformative, huge shift for the society. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, for a start, people who are reps for Meeting for Sufferings were the only ones going to that.
Yeah.
So the fact it's opened this up to everyone is wonderful. The fact that it's more regular and around the country perhaps will entice more people to come along. I think it's great. I do wonder what the impact is on this building. I think once we make this decision, they're going to sell this. Now, I'm not completely against that. It's interesting, and itinerant people.
Well, that's not such a bad thing, is it?
No.
People on the move. A new Valiant 60. So I'm joined by Jo. Jo was in my first ever Quaker meeting, and it's been lovely to see her because I haven't seen you in 3 years.
Long time.
Yeah, a long time. So I'm asking the same question to everyone, and that's just, what does yearly meeting mean to you? Why do you keep coming back?
I find it really inspirational to see everybody coming together in one place. And what's really brilliant is all of the different interests and all of the different activities that everybody's doing all around the country, and everyone comes together and you get to see them all at the same time. And it's fantastic. And there's people doing activism, peace, sustainability, all sorts of things like that. There's people doing spiritual things, there's people building community.
There's the fair, which has all of these different things, and all these things that Quakers are doing that you don't even know is going on, but they're really, really good. It's like the whole patchwork of Quaker stuff, and I think it's really good. Yeah, it opens your eyes to maybe more things that you could be doing. And obviously also you're a trustee, aren't you?
So the thing about being a trustee that's really interesting is obviously you do get to see the work of the charity and all the good that the charity does. And the role of a trustee is to make sure that that is governed properly and looked after, and that we can do the maximum that we possibly can to the benefit of everybody with the resources we've got. And so it's a really great role. I really enjoy it, and it's really important to the future of the charity.
So there we go. I have just finished my first yearly meeting. Some initial takeaways, I suppose. So it's been lovely, absolutely lovely to meet new friends. I've made some new friends there. Some friends I've not met in real life before, some old friends. I think another thing that I've really taken away is that there are so many different types of Quakers, and that not every Quaker is like me, which I know sounds obvious, but I think also just in terms of like interests and or passions or focuses, there's such a variety, and it's all really important, and it's all coming from the same source, and that's been really interesting to me. And it's just, I suppose it's been really nice to be part of a big community. It's nice to feel that, you know, you've got other Quakers around you. It's so rare that happens, and that felt really nice. And I suppose lastly, probably, I think it's been really nice to see how much that Quakers there care about Quakerism, and they care what Quakerism means. It's nice to see that on large, because sometimes when you can feel quite isolated as a Quaker because it's such a small community. So I suppose that sort of solidarity, I really, really appreciated. So another grueling coach journey awaits me, and then some serious editing to get this ready. I'm going to try and do it quickly. We'll see how it goes. But an amazing time, and I would thoroughly recommend it to anyone who wants to give it a go. Maybe I'll see you there.
Thank you very much for watching the video. If you liked it, please do click on the thumbs up and the subscribe button to get more videos about Quakerism in the UK today. It really does help, and thanks once again.